So, today is September the 12th, and I'm just kind of reviewing real quick. Don't forget to make sure that you know your place value chart for Friday's test, that you have it like you know all those columns totally memorized. It looks like this. If you have not started studying, you should be able to tell me that's in the tenths column or that's in the ones column. Okay, the next thing is, please make sure you're studying vocab. Here is the word decimal and the word place value. That should be in your notes back from 9-4. And then, just this week, we added the words terminating and repeating decimal and algorithm. And it is right here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so make sure you have those definitions also. Luckily, terminating has the word terminates. Repeating has the word repeat, if that'll help you at all. And an algorithm is a calculation. Okay, so today, the one thing we're working on is just making sure we can do basic add, subtract, multiply, divide problems for Friday's test. This is the actual worksheet. It's broken into chunks, add, subtract, multiply, and there's the divide. What I'm going to do is do a few of these things, a few of them, and that way the kids will have a good example when they get home of how to do them. Okay, so starting out with like just number 1. 1 second to get myself straight. Okay, so on number 1, I will say make sure you line up the decimals. With addition, we always line up the decimals. Okay, with addition, it doesn't matter which one's on top, but you probably want to fill in some zeros. Add them up. I do want to say something about number 2. The number 65 on number 2 is a whole number. It should be written 65.0. Well, when you line up 19.97, it's got to be lined up correctly, bringing those decimals straight down. Okay, I'll be honest. I'm going to leave you kind of the addition to do. Okay. I will do the first one just so you can kind of compare your answers. So that first one you should have gotten 7.27. Okay, then do 3 and 4. Now, talking about number 5, going into the subtraction section. Luckily, subtraction is the same as addition in the idea that we're going to line up the decimals. Please remember this, guys. The problem on the paper is written like this. Whatever is first has to be on top in subtraction. So if that's first, it has to be on top. And then the 0.86 or 0.86 has to be on the bottom. I would put some zeros in any empty holes. Okay? It has to be lined up that way, bringing down that decimal. 3 minus nothing's 3. Borrowing, that should be an 8. And 5. There you go. 5.043. With subtraction, bring the decimal straight down. Okay. Be careful on number 7. That should be a 6.0 because it's a whole number. So like this is number 5. Number 6. Make sure you've got it lined up right. It should look like this. And I'm begging you guys to put a 0 there so that it helps your brain to remember to borrow. Okay, and number 7, I don't want to do all the math for you, but number 7, I just want to kind of show you. Make sure you write 6.0, because when you subtract 2.61, it has to be lined up that way. And the 6 has got to be on top. That makes you have to do some borrowing. Okay, do number 8. Okay, now I'm going to show you number 9. We're on multiplying. Okay, on number 9, it's okay. We got 84.3. And a lot of you guys on multiplying are asking me if you have to line up the decimals. You don't, guys. On multiplying, you can line up the what I call right-hand digit. So like on this one, I'm lining up my right-hand numbers. Now, when doing the math, the multiplying has not changed. Two placeholders on that row. Okay, now, the only reason I want to show you the math is for the counting of these decimals. In multiplying, you count how many numbers are behind the decimals. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4 up there in the math problem. That means you've got to bring it over 4 times before placing that decimal there, because there should be 4 numbers behind it here. Okay. So like number 10, I'm not going to do the math, but I'll show you. It should be lined up like this. Or this is the easiest way to do it so you don't have a bunch of zeros. Okay. Number 11, I would line it up like this. Okay. Just to kind of show you how I would line them up. Now the last part's the division. Okay. Let's just triple check some stuff with division. Okay. With division. First, the first thing's going to be, make sure you put the first number in the house. So, on number 13, you should have 4 out here, and then 23.58 as the dividend. 4 is your divisor. Okay, now listen. Where is the decimal in 4?
Behind it.
$4. How do you write it?
Behind.
Behind it. So it would be like here, correct?
Yes.
Okay, listen. If you don't move it on the outside, don't wiggle it around on the inside. But you do need to make sure you bring it straight up to the answer box, to the quotient, okay? Listen, can 4 go into 2? Nope. 4 times 5. Okay, now, in 6th grade, in dividing decimals, it's okay, we have learned that we cannot do fractional answers because we're working with decimals here. So the kids and I have talked, we've got to add a 0 if this thing is not repeating, and if we don't have a remainder of 0 yet. So, I now have 20. 4 can go into 20. 5 5 times. And I finally have a remainder of 0. So that's good. We're done with that one. Okay. We'll do one more, 14. Okay. The other thing we've learned this week is that if the decimal is in front of a number, we've got to change our divisor to a whole number then. We've got to bounce it over what I'm calling 1 time to make it a whole number. If we bounce it over 1 on the divisor, bounce it over once in the divisor. Go ahead and bring it straight up. And then start the math. 4 can't go into 2. It can go into 23 5 times. Bring down the 6. 4 times 9. And we have our cute remainder of 0. You may have to add a 0 before it starts repeating. That kind of thing. I'm going to show you how to set up 15 and 16. I don't want to work them, but I do want to just make sure you're on the right track with these decimals. On 15, it looks like this. And then 16, I'm just kind of writing them down real quick. Okay. So the kids and I have talked about bouncing this decimal over. If we have to do it twice in the divisor, we got to do it twice in the dividend. What do we have to add? 0. I know, y'all are doing your work, so it's okay. Make sure that means you got to go from here to here with numbers. It may be a bunch of zeros, but you gotta fill it up all the way that decimal. Same thing on this one. Gonna bounce it 3 times to make it a whole number. That means I have to go 3 here. 1, 2, 3. How many zeros do I have to add here? 2. Okay. That means I need something above each one of these digits. You may even have to add a 0. I don't think so, but you might. Okay? Finish through 20, and tomorrow this is just a great review of us figuring out what do we need to work on. Okay? Through 20. Here's one last cute picture of the worksheet in case you don't have yours and you're wondering what it is. There's the add and subtract. There's the multiply. And there's the divide. Thank you. Yay!